The anti-India gang is spreading anti-India propaganda again. They are using words like India is cruel, it does not care about poor people. See how poor many Indians are. Cruel India is destroying their lives because of the G20 summit. So, what is happening in India? Has India really done something terrible? Well, many in the Western world have been mocking India because, according to them, India tried to cover its slums during the G20 summit in New Delhi. Many in the West are also shaming India because, according to them, India tried to beautify its streets by taking an action against some unauthorized neighborhoods or illegal settlements. Not only that, many are even suggesting that the so-called cruel and heartless India should learn how to behave properly from the so-called kind and generous Western nations. So to all the anti-India propagandists in the Western colonial criminal states, here is my 5-point response. Point 1. To start with, a lot of poverty that you see in India actually exists because of the colonial criminal states that got richer through trillions of dollars of loot from the nations they colonized. A lot of poverty in India actually exists because until today, the colonial criminal states have not returned the looted wealth and are sitting on it shamelessly. Is your country a colonial criminal state too? If yes, then you have also inherited that legacy of loot and you are also shamelessly benefiting from it. Point 2. Laughing, mocking or shaming poor people? Is that civilized behavior? And laughing at your victims? How about that? Yes, when Western colonial criminal states comment on the situation of poverty in the formerly colonized nations, it is like a rapist commenting or laughing at the torn clothes of his rape victim. You raped them, and now you are shaming them? That shows what you are. Point 3. Instead of criminals questioning victims, shouldn't the victims question criminals? After all, questions should be asked to the Western colonial criminal states. How come you still have poverty in your country even after looting trillions of dollars from the countries you enslaved or colonized? Was the looted money not properly distributed, or did you lack an intelligent plan to use that looted money? Point 4. The media sharks of the colonial criminal states enjoy lecturing the formerly colonized nations, but why is it that your own countries act so mercilessly against your own poor people? Stop shedding crocodile tears for Indians while your own country is brutally demolishing poor people's homes and slums. Do you think that will stay hidden from us forever? See how German authorities demolish slums. Open your eyes and see the sad reality. Look at these images. Look at the drenched mattresses, sleeping bags, furniture and shoes. This is the Germany they want to hide from you. And yes, this is not an isolated incident. The demolition of poor people's homes by German authorities is a regular ongoing process. And by the way, how does the US treat its slum residents? As reported here, Minneapolis Parks police pulled a man out of a tent and arrested him for refusing to leave a homeless encampment. I mean, just take a look at these images. See the brutality here. They don't even treat their poor people as human beings. Look at how sad, how pathetic this behavior is. And then these colonial criminal states and their media sharks have the audacity to preach to us about human rights. And now see what can happen in France. French government's plan to encourage thousands of homeless people to leave the Paris area before next year's Olympic Games. And please don't forget what was reported in 2017. France tearing down its slums. Read this. 570 slums in France, including 113 in the Greater Paris region of Ile-de-France. 16,000 people living in squalid conditions, 36% are children. And read this. More than 4,600 people, including many children, have been expelled from the slum. Yes, clearing out slums without offering any kind of long-term solution. Point 5. As far as India is concerned, it must be clarified that India and its governments have done a lot to fight poverty. Read this. See how huge India's social sector expenditure is. And of course, Indian taxpayers' money and the Indian government's efforts are showing results. Read this. According to the United Nations Development Programme, India saw a remarkable reduction in poverty, with 415 million people exiting poverty within a span of just 15 years. But remember, it is still work in progress. So, do you see how formerly colonized nations are bravely fighting poverty? Do you see how they are bravely fighting the impact of the $45 trillion looted from their country? As far as I'm concerned, I think India should not try to cover these neighborhoods. It is a mistake. India, when you cover these slums, you are being defensive for no reason. You seem embarrassed or ashamed. But why should a survivor be ashamed of her torn clothes and injuries? Instead, the colonial rapists should be ashamed of their colonial crimes. Yes, those nations who looted India should be ashamed and embarrassed. Not India. India is bravely fighting poverty and will continue to do so. Want to know what my suggestion is? Instead of covering these slums, next time India could just put a huge banner in front of these slums, and on that banner something like this can be written: I am a formerly colonized nation who is bravely fighting poverty and the impact of $45 trillion that was looted from me. This is my ongoing fight against poverty that was gifted to us from European Christian colonial criminals. I have brought 415 million people out of poverty within a span of just 15 years, and my fight against poverty will continue. These are my people, and it is our resilience.